So we're recording. Welcome everyone. It's Tuesday and it's February 6th. I always lose track of our dates. Crazy that we're already in a new month. I feel like the year is flying a little faster than I had anticipated. But some good things. First of all, tonight I wanted to talk about vulnerability because it's something that I've read a lot about, but I haven't put into practice in my own life until recently. And I just wanted to share my own personal experience with it, and then invite those of us on the call to share what we've been doing and some of what makes us vulnerable and how we feel when doing it, because there's a lot to discuss on that. So yeah, I guess we should just jump right in. I started the 80-day obsession on January 15th with a large group of you. And for me personally, it was sort of, I guess I've known where I am and what I'm uncomfortable with for quite a while now. I wouldn't say it's anything that happened overnight. In fact, personally, had great success with the Beachbody products, believe in them. I can, share that with anybody. My conviction is so strong and real because how it's changed my life. I'm just not living that truth right now. I am not eating on track and I am not working out. Well, I am now, but I hadn't been for the past, 3 or so years. And it caught up with me and it made me feel unauthentic, even though I know that our products work. I know that our solution works. I drink Shakeology every day and have for the last 8 years. That hasn't changed. But I just felt that if I'm going to go into a program and share that journey, it would be better if I could share the journey. But I was so caught up in what other people would think. Like, hey, I'm a coach and here are my day one pictures again, because I'm back to day one. I know when you're on your journey, you have new day one pictures all the time. When I look at my day one pictures from the 80-day, I feel like I'm going back to where I was when I started Beachbody. And, part of me is like, that's life and that's what happens when you get off track. But I hadn't had that reality or that conversation with anyone other than myself in my head. So I've been doing just a lot of introspection and a lot of thinking about my story. My story is very inspiring. As a new mom of 3, this was 8 years, no more than that. New mom of 3 was 12 years ago. I started using Beachbody products to change my own life, and that did have a domino effect on everything, because as I got happier and more comfortable in my own skin, I could help serve those around me, my children, my family, my friends, so much better. And that was where I decided, pay it forward mentality came in. Fast forward, 12 years, and I'm kind of sitting in a spot where I know what to do, but I wasn't doing it. And having to admit that as a coach is something that I don't know if anyone is in my position has struggled with that. I know I'm looking at names and faces on the computer, and I don't know that anyone's in that boat. But I just have to tell you that I had, I don't know, shame or embarrassment, but I was like embarrassed of where I was. So I want to tell you how I came around that. So I realized that I had to share my journey because I was going to share it at some point, right? So I know I'm going to get results from this program because I'm sticking with it and I'm making the changes that I need to make. And whether it's in 80 days, 160 days, 240 days, there's going to be changes that come because my lifestyle is changing. And it didn't take me 80 days to get back to where I am. It's taken me a few years. So it might not take me just 80. I'll have changes in 80, but to get back where I want to be, it might take me longer. But in my head, I had this realization that I'm going to have to share this. I want to share this at some point. So why not share it now? And the answer to myself when I asked that question was embarrassment. Like, I don't want to admit where I am, and I don't want people to see my belly online. I don't want my whole team to see it. I'm a leader. I'm supposed to be like the, leading by example. I don't want my children see it if I go to the pool, right? But I don't want their friends to see it. I don't want my neighbor to see it. Like, this is in my head. I don't want all these people to see my fat belly. That's kind of where I was thinking. I'm like, well, but that's where I'm at. And so I didn't share. I didn't even take, this is embarrassing, I didn't even take day 1 pictures because I didn't want to see it. So I took day 7 pictures because Autumn asked us to. And I took day 14 pictures and I put them side by side because honestly, I hadn't really felt any serious results, but my eyes popped out a little bit like, that's kind of a significant result in 7 days. So I felt like, well, maybe I could like tell a few people. I showed my husband. He's like, oh yeah, look at that. I don't know what kind of reaction I was expecting, but then I showed the girl that I sit next to at volleyball, and I showed another person that's a good friend of mine, and another person, and I felt like not confident in them seeing it, but like, look what I'm doing. I'm proud of what the progress I'm making. And I said to myself, I think I have to share this like more openly at some point soon. So I just bit the bullet and said, you know what, it's never going to feel good, and just rip that Band-Aid off. But I wanted to share. So that's kind of the process that I went through. These were my day 7 and my day 14 pictures of 80-day obsession. And then I took day 21 pictures thinking like, oh my God, there's going to be another change like that. And there wasn't. And that kind of made me like stunned, like, oh, but I'm trusting the process overall. There will be results. But those 7 days to me were inspiring for anybody who's thinking, well, you can't make a change in 7 days, or is this program going to really work? So part of me was like, I want to be testimony to what is working and what I'm doing, and show it along the way, not just an after the fact. Because to be vulnerable means it's not a look what I did. It's look what I'm doing. This is what I'm going through. And what we create when we do that is we create a sense of being real and being authentic to who we are. Whatever your struggle is, and it might not even be with body image, or it might not be with food. There could be so many different struggles. And when you share a piece of that with somebody, well, it changes what they think of you in so many ways. And I've been doing a little bit of research on, there's a great author called, I'm sure many of you have her books and have heard of her, Brene Brown. She writes on vulnerability. And I did a little bit of research online just for some stuff to talk about tonight with this topic, and had some great points to make with you guys. But I wanted to tell you before any of that, what it means to me. It helps others. Like when someone's vulnerable around me and shares something that others could judge them on, it makes them real, right? Like I kind of grew up in the world where Patty Perfect is the example of what you are. No, everything's fine. I'm good. I'm all good. I got it. I can do everything. I'm Wonder Woman, and that's fine. And people want to be like that, right? But that's not a way, like a lot of people feel like, oh my God, I can never do what you do. Like you do so much. And like when they see the real behind the scenes, I think that's what a lot of people are enamored with Snapchat about. Like they realize that you're just like everyone else, that you have to take your pants off one leg at a time, just like everybody else. You poop on the potty like everybody else. Like there's not really something that you're not magic. And what you do, it's hard work, right? So when you show your day-to-day struggles, I think you open yourself up to share your authentic person, and the mystery is taken away a little bit. But it creates connection with people. And as I was going through some of my stuff, there was this great quote here. It says, the beautiful and terrifying thing about vulnerability, we must be willing to completely reveal layers. Oh my God, I'm sorry, the phone's ringing on my phone where I'm reading. We must be willing to completely reveal layers of ourselves in order to reach an authentic, tangible connection with another soul. Vulnerability is, in actuality, connection in its invisible form. And I was like, isn't that interesting? So I wanted to process that for a minute, right? Like every time we do something, we create this vulnerability. It is allowing us to connect with people because it opens us up. There's, on the other side, there's this chance that we could get hurt because we're sharing something that's personal to us. But that's kind of how growth happens. Like connecting and sharing through other people is, I don't know, it's beautiful. And that's part of like what makes humans different, I think, than other animals, is that we have this need for this connection. And in my research, believe me, it was not extensive research. It was just some looking up, but don't think I'm not good. So the other thing I was reading about is an article by Danielle Burnock, and it was the benefits to vulnerability and connection. It's not interesting, like more about vulnerability and connection. But I just want to read you the bullet points. I can share this article with you because I want to open this discussion up a little bit. The bullet points on this article were 7 benefits to vulnerability and connection. And when I read through these, instantly in my mind, and I'm hoping you'll have the same thing, but probably the same thoughts. It was challenge group. It was so weird. So the benefits are a sense of belonging, emotional support, encouragement, practical help. Are you going like, oh my God? Because I was going like, oh my God. Innovation, health benefits, and motivation. Oh my God. I was sitting here going, well, isn't that interesting? So when we can be vulnerable about a situation, even if it's, I don't know, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't have to be embarrassing, right? Vulnerability doesn't have to embarrass you. It could be exciting. You know, how I just, all the ones I can think of make me embarrassed, but it doesn't have to be. Being vulnerable is being exposed. It's sharing a piece of who you are. And it is, in a way, it's not going to be embarrassing. It's just, I can think of another word. It's revealing to who you really are. Really, a little bit of taking a layer off so this connection can be made and it's real. And I don't know, when I was reading through that and really reading that that's how connection happens, I realized that I was doing myself a disservice like all this time. And I don't know, like I've never been able to figure out, how do I be vulnerable, right? Like, what do you share, right? Like, oh, okay, in Beachbody, we lose rank. We can lose rank. We could forget to do something. We could go inactive. Like all these little things that I've had to learn along the way. I try to learn from my lessons, but I try and teach and share with the team. So some of that could be vulnerability, right? Like everyone might think, oh, she's hit Success Club for 96 months. Someone just pointed that out to me. I didn't know the number, but being vulnerable and saying it was hard. It's not just because I'm magical and it's easy. It's because I'm consistent and I talk to people. Like, what are the things that you struggle with? I don't even think of things anymore as a struggle because they're part of my daily routine. But, you know, being addicted to sugar, that's a struggle. That's a vulnerability. Not loving to work out, but loving how I feel. So knowing that it's good for my health. Like, those are probably vulnerabilities. They're character traits, but sharing those things are pieces of me that I think would help people connect to who I am and to my story. Which, again, I'm going to open this up in like 2 minutes. I want to kind of go off that thought. Our stories are so important. There's a couple of new people on the phone. I see my new coach, LW, has joined it. He's not on the video, but he's here. He's opening up his story. He's lost, I think you guys have probably seen it. I shared it in the group. 104 pounds. You know, and he's been sharing why he's motivated to pay it forward, because it's a gift that he's been given, his health, and he wants to just help everybody now because he's healthy. Be healthy. And I think about that. And there's a lot of vulnerabilities that go with that. You know, there's people who don't want us to succeed because they think we're going to change and leave them out because we were connected to them before. There's so many things that happen. But just having your heart and sharing your personal story is going to help you connect with the people that you need to help. Because we're all in this business because we want to help people. And then we're also here on these calls learning how to be better because we want to help more people. But in the end, this is our business, and learning how to be vulnerable and connect with people is really going to take it to another level. I don't know. Is there anybody that wants to share a story about something, an experience maybe when they had to be vulnerable and what the outcome has been? Because I can share a few so far of what's happened from sharing that, but I want to see if anyone else has something they want to share first. Okay, so I'll share first. So then I'm expecting somebody to share. If not, I'm going to have to pick on somebody. Okay, so here's my example, right? I share this picture that I feel like I'm wearing a fat suit, and I feel like the fat suit, yes, someone let a little bit of the air out of it, but it's still a fat suit, right? But it's not a fat suit. I can't take it off. So I'm sitting here thinking, oh my gosh. And then a lot of you guys have commented, you know, like, I appreciate it. I know that it's your real thoughts. You're not just doing it to make you feel good. So that, you know, the support that you get when you do that is encouraging, right? You know that people are now saying, okay, I can relate to you, or you inspire me, or thank you for keeping this real. Whatever the thoughts were, you get like a public feel for it. So the people that are already in your community might support you more. right? Because you've probably surrounded yourself with, hopefully, with some like-minded people that support you. So you'll see a little bit of that. But I also got some messages from people that I would have never expected to hear from that said, would you please send me a message? I want to chat with you. Well, what else could that be about? Someone I haven't talked to in 15 years that I'm friends with on Facebook or Instagram wanting to talk to me. So I'm pretty sure that conversation hadn't happened, but what that's about. Another person, you putting it out there has just made me realize I'm not alone. I'm going to recommit to what I need to do to reach my goals. And I appreciate your support as I do that. Wow. Okay, that's why I do this, right? And he would have never reached out to me to say I'm in the same boat if I hadn't exposed my vulnerability. Then I had another interesting, this is a kind of cool thing. On a side note, I'm very social, right? Like I like to be around people. I do my workouts at home, as many of you do, typically alone, unless family members home and wants to do it with me. But my girlfriend was commenting on my booty workout from last week, and I said, hey, next week, Tuesday, you can come work out with me. So she agreed, and I waited for her, and she came. And that was fun, because that was, for me, like a social thing, but yet we were both on the floor going, together. It's nice, misery loves company. But she said something to me funny, like, this was another embarrassing part of putting that on Instagram. A lot of my children's friends are on Instagram. So a lot of these likes for all my food and my pictures are from my kids' friends. So I'm sitting here thinking, my son's girlfriend is commenting on this, his little soccer buddy is going to be seeing this and commenting on it. Well, little did I know that one of my son's friends goes to his mom, hey, look what Mrs. Ratterman's doing. Like, this is smart of her as a business person to like share this. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And now people are showing their parents. Anyway, like you just really don't know where it's going to go, but it's all said and done. I feel like in an encouraging type of environment. Now, I know that there could be chatter or haters or bad things too that come out of it. So far, I haven't experienced that, but I know that people who are vulnerable have had that. It's very powerful. If you're on social media and that's happening, you own the power to erase and not have to engage in any of that banter. So if you do put something out there that is vulnerable, that is personal, and someone is offensive or rude or just undeserving of your time, don't give them the time. Just remove it and just carry on, because I feel like when you engage in that, it just becomes toxic and for everybody. They're getting what they want, which is power and control, and then you're losing your the beauty of it all. So I'm empowering you to just erase and delete and not even, or just leave it and don't even comment on it. Let someone else go to bat for you, or just, again, I think the best thing to do is just, if it's very negative or toxic, just to erase it. And you can block too. I don't know which platforms you're on, but you can do that too. I haven't had to do that. I don't really think that people are that vindictive, but of course there's all kinds of people in the world. Did anyone else, as I was talking, think of a story that might be good to share with the team?
Can you hear me, Lee?
Yeah. Hi, Carrie.
I'm sitting here going, I can't think of, I mean, of course there's plenty, I'm sure, of vulnerable moments, but I'm trying to think of one that's not, I guess for me, the transformation side, vulnerable would have been after I had Van. I shared pictures of my loosey goosey skin, like after you have a baby and it's all like, yeah. I was so embarrassed when I did that, but I got such huge response when I showed, I think it was like 1 week postpartum and then 6 weeks postpartum when I was able to start working out and following nutrition. So I think I inspired a lot of pregnant, like newly pregnant or moms that just had their babies. I had a lot of clientele that was in that niche because I shared that vulnerability. Like my skin, you could see it was all crinkly from just delivering, and that's not easy to do because it's embarrassing. It's not like I knew it wasn't going to stay like that, but it's just when you see yourself like that. And it was weird too, because like where my belly was so huge and it was tan, like in a circle. So it looked so weird when it was all deflated, but I shared the photo of it. So that was one like physical, vulnerable moment.
Yeah, and it provides connection. Like you said, you're going to create members of your tribe when you do that, because that's what people want. They want to have that connection. LW, did you want to share something? I just see he's unmuted. I don't know. No. Okay. Yeah, I feel like it just provides connection, and since we all are humans, and I think people need that human touch and that connection. So another thing that you can do to create some of that connection is not necessarily around vulnerability, is to engage on your in person and in social media with your followers, because that actually creates more buzz around what you're doing and shares your post to more people, but it also shows those people that you care about them. So I don't know, like I'm just trying to be more mindful of, like we scroll through stuff, and our time on social media is sometimes just clicking hearts and likes, and it doesn't mean anything anymore. So I feel like if you are going to spend some time, spend less time or spend more time with one person versus, and I don't know, I live my life like that. Like when I see people, I try to engage and learn something versus just, hey, yeah, I gotta run, bye, nice seeing you. Like I feel like quality time over quantity and how many people I can connect with is more important. And then maybe that's just me, and that's just something I'm learning. But those are a couple of my life lessons from this week. I don't know, Kristen, you've been sharing a lot on Instagram. I follow you pretty tightly. I don't know. Do you have any experiences that you can share? Just, your journey, your story, your food, anything that you feel like you're getting through to people with?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that, in the last couple of years since I started coaching, when I first started, and I had those pictures, and your pictures reminded me very much. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you were freezing a little bit.
Can you guys? Okay. Your pictures reminded me a lot of my pictures when I started 2 years ago. And, with 4 rounds of 21-day fix, I think I ended up losing 23 or so pounds and 20 some inches. And that, I remember when I posted that, I was deathly embarrassed. I was just mortified, but I just put my phone down and I didn't get it back on the computer for like an hour. And then all of the comments just kept coming in, and people were stopping me at work. And although it was a very uneasy feeling, it definitely, validated my progress, and it really helped me keep going. And I think it definitely helped me to help more people as well. So.
And I tend to take a look at it like that. Like that's really my mission, is to work on me. And if I didn't share it now, I'm going to share it later. And I would really miss out on that connection with the people that need me now, because I want to be around those people. I don't want to be a look what I did, you could do it too, I'll coach you. I want to be come into the trenches with me. Let's do this together. So that's I think the trade-off is you can look back and then you can share your experience and be the expert, but I'm no expert. And so I feel like I'd rather just bring people along for the journey. So
I think it's also been easier to share on the Instagram stories and be vulnerable and say and do anything, because they go away in 24 hours, and there's not like this backlog in history. People can go back and find it. So for me, that's one thing I love about Insta stories, because they just go away.
It's a really good point. And I've been hearing people really not push those, but really emphasize how important those can be for you to grow connection. I know Carl Deichler has mentioned it recently. Jeff Hills mentioned it recently. I'm like, when it's at that level, like of our company, like really, you got to start using those. I'm like, maybe I got to start using those, but I haven't been much. I tried the other day, and then it's just hard to keep up with all that. I guess if really you're just doing it to share who you are, there doesn't need to be the tracking, and people will comment when they're ready to comment. I think that's probably a better approach. I think there's an addiction nowadays in our society of how many likes did I get, who commented, and I know I'm guilty of that, and I think that is not healthy. A friend of mine just wrote an article on what that's doing to our children. It's bad. So I'm going to try and get away from some of that myself and really work on the messaging part of it and the commenting part of it, but not live in that world, because the world that we do live in, it's three-dimensional, is very rewarding when we pay attention. So that's one of my personal goals, is to sort of lean up on that. Although I can use that for my business and for my connections, I want to try and be present with the people in my life. So yeah, so that, I don't know, did anyone else want to add anything?
I think what most people connect with is just a struggle. Because like, of all the stories that I have posted on Facebook, the story that most likes or views got was like the story of my depression. And it's like, it's nothing happy. It's like, why will people like this? But I guess they just connect with the problems that you have, because they want to see somebody that is normal. They don't want to see somebody that is perfect.
Well, and they might see something in your story, even if they don't have depression. Something triggers something in them to say, I understand where she's coming from. I've had that happen. Even though they might not suffer from depression, they might be able to relate. And I think being relatable, that's sort of the key with vulnerability, is it creates that you're a real person. You have struggles. And like Stephanie just said, sharing those struggles. I mean, I don't care if your struggle is you can't get, a sweetener for your coffee. I mean, that's not an emotional, personal one, but people are going to relate to and want to help you with that. That's just a silly little one. But when you can dig off the layers, and you can really get to some of the struggles that are deeper, I think that they'll be a little more painful to reveal, but the reward will be greater. So again, I challenge each and every one of you tonight to think about something that you can share, that that not to hurt somebody else, but something personal that will help you connect to people and help inspire people. Because I feel like our struggles, as we work through them, that's what inspires people. They look to us to say, wow, if she can handle that, like, what am I complaining about? Or, oh, wow, if she can handle it, I can handle it too. So different perspectives, but I feel like that's sort of a winning combination for us as coaches. I was going to look and see. I'm going to share this article about the 7 connections, because the benefits to vulnerability and connection, because I feel like a lot of these things, it does emphasize why connection is so important, but I feel like as coaches, that helps us understand. Like, it talks about, this one I just looked at was the health benefits. People with strong connections recover quicker from being sick and have greater life expectancy. And think about that. Like, if you're connected to something, so when you're connected in your community, you're connected in your family, you're connected in your church, and you thrive on that connection. And with those people, I think there's so much that can happen. It's kind of blowing my mind. It's really taken to another level. But I do think that that's why we're here. We're here. We can provide that connection. We can create that community. We can help people thrive. We can help people be healthier, live longer, and then pay it forward, which kind of results in our business. And I'm going to end the call on that and say, as Team Beachbody coaches, we get to share our opportunity, which I haven't been doing as much as I can be. I know that. But we get to decide how often and how much we can do that, because my goal is to help hundreds of thousands of people, right, get healthy, because I know what I have, what I've used, and what works. It's not the only option out there, but it's going to work for a lot of people. But right now, I don't know 100,000 people that I can help. I'm sure in the course of my life, I'll run into them. But if I say I have a goal of helping 100,000 people, and I can get 100 people to help me, that helps my goal. If I'm helping 100 people learn how to help 1,000 people each, we've just helped 100,000 people. So I realize how this model, this business model, is so powerful. Because if you want to help 10 people, you can help 10 people. But when you want to help 100, it's a little harder. It's not impossible. I've done it. It just takes time. So therefore, if we can just pay what we're doing forward, it really is a beautiful thing, especially when you find people that are on the same page with that same task. Because all they need is really our lessons on our tools, right? And then lessons on how to work with people, and maybe what works, and how to follow up with people, or how it's just small little things, tweaks, I almost feel like, that really will take them further. So I think that should be part of our mission, is to, obviously, everyone on this call I know is working on themselves, to continue that path and then share the positivity. I follow Tanner. I don't know if all of you know Tanner Clark. He's here in the yellow shirt here. I follow him on Facebook. I actually asked him, or on Instagram as well. I think he's amazing on Instagram. He's got a Beachbody Family is his the family coaching page, but that, and then they have personal pages. He and his wife, they're both coaches, and I just admire the honesty and the realness that they bring to this business and putting it out there. You know, it's our goal. Our goal is to have second stream income, to do this, and how we're going to do it, and we want to help you. And we always are inviting you to join us. And I know that it's not just your Instagram, that's the front of the business, but it's what goes on and the connections that you make from your stories and your struggles. But, you know, I'd ask Tanner if at some point they just move, but if he can share some of how he's found his voice and what he shares, because every time and maybe it's just because I'm in his target market, maybe I'm one of his tribe, but I really connect to it. So it's just inspiring to watch. So anyway, so he'll tune in at some point in the next few weeks or months, so to share some of the tips that he's kind of been using. But I don't know, I just appreciate you guys, and I just wanted to share how being vulnerable can help you. If you haven't been as vulnerable as you think you can be now, you have a task to try and find something to share. Feel free to message me if you want my feedback, if you'd like my comments. If I don't see it, I tend to follow most of you that are on the call, but you never know. If I miss something, there's a lot that's passing by, and I'm trying to be less on the phone, so I might miss it. But yeah, that's just, I think it will provide a lot. The more you can do it, the easier it'll be, especially if it's different ways of sharing the same message. I think people need to hear something 5 to 7 times before they actually take action, okay? So if you sharing once, like, who was it who said, it was Kristen who said, on your story, it goes away. On your other type of social media, it stays there, but it does fall behind in the trail. So saying it over again, or inviting somebody, or sharing a different piece of the journey but using the same picture, or maybe using a different picture and sharing the same words, it's okay. I'm giving you permission to do that too, because people need to hear something 5 to 7 times before they're taking action. So it may not be 7 emails saying, will you join my challenge group, will you join my challenge group, will you join my challenge group, but marketing, kind of awareness of what you're doing, different ways and different exposures of that. I think that's very healthy. So think about that as you're working on your strategy for what you share. And good luck and have a good week. And thank you so much again. It means a lot to see you guys in person and be here on the call tonight. I'll share the recording in the page either later tonight or in the morning. So have a good week, guys.
Thank you, Lee.
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.